Hey everybody, it is your girl Shadonna Mo McFall, the Mo You Know, and it is Wednesday night time for the Mo You Know Live. And I am so excited to bring you Moniek James. Man, when I tell you, every time I talk to Moniek James, I call her by her whole name because my name is Mo too. So and I be wanting to say Mo, but I'm like, okay.
No,
Name
it
is
feels
Moniek.
weird. It feels weird saying your name in your own mouth. When
Right?
I meet people with the same name as me, I'm like, that doesn't even feel right for me to say that.
Girl, well, ever since I met you, you have blown. And I'm gonna tell you guys how I met. I'm gonna just say Mo because it's easy because I don't even say my whole Monique. So I'm gonna just say Mo. Don't get confused. It's two of us.
It's still that. Yes.
So I met Mo back in November. We both did Christie's Veteran Summit. And you were talking about all the things, how you can repurpose your material. And I know, and I sent you, I'm like, I took a screenshot. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get with her because I'm going to use this because this was so good. And I was just blown away ever since then. And then I think I seen you, we are in a couple of groups together. And I'm like, this girl is something else. So I'm so glad that we connected. So, like I said, you like, every time I get off of, whether we're talking as a professional call or whether we're just talking personally, my mind is blown. And not too many people blow my mind.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. No, it's been good. This season for me has definitely been one where I am nurturing relationships. That was, another common group that we're in. That was something that I shared in the group, and it really opened the floodgates for a lot of the other women business owners to say the same thing. We talk all the time and we hear people say all the time that our relationships are currency. And I know for me, I haven't focused on that in the past, and just where I am right now with the year that we've lived through, it just really makes sense for me to grow in that way. So I am definitely glad to have, connected with you, and to grow our connection and nurture our relationship as well.
Absolutely. I know. Whew, when we talk about relationships, I know that's one of the things and I know you're married, and I know I am
Yes.
super single. And part of it is because we have all the things, we're trying to build businesses, you have to be intentional with the things that you're trying to do. And in all honesty, I haven't been intentional on the relationship side, just because I feel like I'm so close. I'm like, I gotta build these business relationships. So I'm just like, okay. And listening to you talk about always being intentional, I'm like, okay, Mo, you're gonna have to let it go. You're gonna have to have that balance. And if you want that balance, you're gonna have to do the things.
That's definitely true. I am a firm believer that we'll never hit a target that we don't set.
Right.
So, it just like we talk about setting those goals and things like that in our business. We're human beings and we're wired, to be connected and to be in relationship with people. So yeah, it takes work, it takes intention. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, that intention, that sets the tone, that identifies the target that I want to hit. And fortunately, I have a husband who is very supportive, and he jokes and he says, well, Moniek followed me around for all those years while I was still active duty in the military, and now it's her turn. So, we met in the military. I got out, he stayed in, and for 10, 12 years in our marriage, he was active duty and I was working and mom and doing all these other things. And now I wouldn't even say the roles have shifted, but they've evolved. So as I have grown as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, he has learned more about what that life looks like, and recognizes that now things have to shift, things have to kind of change and evolve in our relationship, and we make it work. But it definitely, we wouldn't be able to do what we do in our relationship, in any relationship, without communication. So I'm a big proponent of clear communication. I don't I don't like to operate an assumption. I don't like to deal with innuendo. I'm not going to guess. Like, for me, guessing, it takes too much mental energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to ask you, now, what do you mean by that? you
Mhm.
know, you know, I want you, because I want you to say it, because I recognize, sometimes we have conversations. I don't know about, y'all that are watching, but I have whole conversations going on in my head sometimes. So by the time I speak it, I've already had the conversation in my head and don't often realize I didn't say what's in my head. Instead, I said something else. So the other person is confused. So I will totally ask, for clarification. I am big in that, not just in my business and what I do through my work, but in my life too, because it matters so much.
Absolutely. And you hit it, guess. And I'm like, I don't want to guess. I don't want to tell me where you want to be. I always tell the people that I'm working with, tell me where you want to go. And I'm like a little navigator. I help us get there. But if I know, just like, GPS, you put it in, hey, we want to go here, boom, boom, boom. That's where we're going to go. So I love that. Communication is so funny. You were in the Army. I was in the Air Force. And in the Air Force, we had this thing called flex. They said flexibility is the key to air power. And I always say flexibility is the key to mo power. So you can have that too, because
That's good.
when you communicate and when you're intentional, it makes all of the difference.
Completely. You close the gaps. I don't like
Mhm.
having gaps in, my conversations. I want to fill in all those holes and close those gaps. So yeah, I am definitely 100% on board with that.
Absolutely. So I just want to get into, how did you, so you have two brands. So I definitely want to talk about Renegade Creative Media Group. So that's the one I'm like, I think we're working with here. So how did you come up with the name Renegade? What made you come up with that name?
Um, that when I was trying to think of a word that aptly describes my personality and the way that I approach my business and how I, work with clients and challenge clients to think outside the box. That was it. It was that or Ninja, and Ninja just didn't give me the same impact. So I am very much I love operating. I like to color outside the lines.
Mhm.
I like to be different. And when I was when I was a soldier, I was the one that always got in trouble for being an individual. I never wore, my socks were never in regs when I was in uniform. I was always just outside of the regulation. so so when I was thinking about, because that's a part of me. That's who I
Mhm.
am. That's who I went in the military. I was
Mhm.
that person and I'm still that person. And the way that I have navigated this online universe and building my own business is still very much just outside of the regulation.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that the status quo is, or the run of the mill says to do, I'm going to figure out how to do it differently because I want to have different results. Yeah,
Mhm.
I understand, following successful blueprints and all of that, but I also understand and recognize the value of doing it in a way that feels right to you, to the
Right.
person. So I've done it in my own businesses. That's how I, built both of my businesses, is really just doing things that felt right to me and that were in alignment with the way I'm wired. And in my work with my clients and my customers, I challenge them to do the same things.
Absolutely. I love that, because I'm like Renegade. Because I know there was a song, and I can't even remember it now, but it just, every time I hear it, it makes me think about the song. And I know there was a wrestler, and I'm just thinking about all of the things. And every time I have to type it in, I can't spell it. I have to have to let Google help. But I just love the name, and I know I've talked to you and I've seen you in action, and I'm like I said earlier, I'm like, this girl is a bad, she's badass.
I receive that as a compliment. Thank you.
But I love it because every time, like I said, I know you're sharing like some of your old videos. And I'm just like, I remember you did one video and we was talking, and I put shine and shine, because you was talking about how we have to step out of our own comfort zone and how we can't be afraid to shine and not blind someone else. But you got to be okay. I am who I am, and I am good at what I do, and that shouldn't intimidate you. So,
Right.
what was the catalyst that made you to speak that? Because I know that resonated with me, and I know it resonated with a lot of other folks.
So that video in particular, that actually was a tech mix up that actually worked out perfectly because I said already, I have two brands. So in Renegade Creative, the focus is content strategy. And in my other brand, the Confetti Collective, I'm a confidence coach.
Mm-hmm.
And over the past year, the year that shall not be named, I started to recognize that I was having more conversations with business owners, not just about the content and about their social media, but we started to discover that deeper issue, those deeper challenges related to confidence and self-esteem. So I've been having this intersection of these two brands in a really fun and interesting way. So the broadcast that you're talking about in particular was a part of the promo campaign for an event that I was hosting for my confidence coaching brand. And it was all about targeted at women, aimed at creating a confident vision for your life. The beginning of every year, everybody and their sister is hosting a vision board event. And I've done it too. But again, 2020 really gave me an opportunity to step further and step deeper into my responsibility as a leader of my community, and not just talk about making a board, but talking about preparing the holder of the board to become the person who can create the vision. So that particular broadcast was about what's known as the crime of outshining. And like I said, it was a mistake that it actually went broadcast out. It went out on the wrong platform, but it was the right message for the audience as well, because it was talking about, in the context of the conversation, I was specifically speaking to women, but this applies to the entrepreneur space as well. We feel guilty sometimes for choosing and on showing up in the fullness of our brilliance. And we stifle it because we're afraid of how the other people in the room will respond. Well, somebody's not going to like if I do this, or somebody's going to have something to say if I do this. My point was, they're going to have something to say anyway. So why not choose to fully operate in all of the greatness that you carry within you, and stop concerning ourselves so much about the opinions of other people? Because when it comes to talking to a business owner, we can't pay our bills with opinions.
Right.
Our customers, our clients, our audience needs us to show up bringing everything that we carry to help them win. So yeah, it was about choosing to shine brighter than what other people choose. Because we can't control what anybody else does. We can't control how anybody else will respond to what it is that we're doing. The only person we have control over is ourselves. And it's dishonoring our greatness to not show up doing all of the things that we are fully equipped, that we know we can do. We just choose to stifle it and to play small out of fear for people not liking what it is that we're doing or what we have to say. And that's just unacceptable to me.
Absolutely. And I am kind of guilty of that sometimes.
We all have done it. I think that's why it's resonated so much, because we all have done it.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh my God, because even when I was in the military, people used to always be like, who she thinks she is. And I've even had family members to be like, who she thinks she is. And sometimes I be on my, brush my shoulder off this. I'm Shadonna McFall, Shadonna Mo McFall, boo boo. But, I've tried in this entrepreneurial space, I try to stay humble. But then some days I'm like, listen, they don't know who they playing with. So I'm walking that fine line, which you say I shouldn't be walking. I should just go ahead and show them the whole brilliance. But then it's just like, oh man.
Well, but I really go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there is a difference, and that was at the core of the conversation too. There's a difference between humility and smallness. We think it's the same. We think we're being humble when in actuality we're playing small. And I liken the difference is when it's humility, you know where your gift comes from. You know where your blessings, where everything that's great about you, it's not you. It's a gift. It was given to you. So you know that every time you show up in your live broadcast or in your email to your customers or whatever, you are representing the source of that gift. So it, again, you know that your job is to honor that source. So you have to show up stunting.
Y'all heard that? When I'm out here stunting on
Professionally
y'all, Monique said I can
stunting.
stunt.
Because every time you show up fully and operating in the lane that makes you brilliant, you are giving honor to the source. That's
Absolutely.
humility. Smallness is pretending that what you know how to do, you don't know how to do. Pretending that who you really are, you're not. You are showing up. It's inauthentic. You're not even being honest when you are operating in smallness. And as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we have to be able to show up and do all of the things that we're created to do, and show our audiences that they can do the same thing, and it not be about ego. It's about, I own my brilliance, I acknowledge my greatness, and I know that what I have to offer, somebody in this world needs.
Absolutely. Like I said, y'all, I told y'all every time I speak with her, she does blows. Like, I'm like, okay, Mo, yeah, you're right. Because, and I was talking with another one of my clients today, and I was telling me before this how she hit one of my pain points. And I'm just like, okay, I'm selling. She's like, well, what are you selling? I'm like, I sell wins. I'm a winner, and I want to work with the people who are because most of the people, well, all of the people that I work with, they're winning in their own light, but more people just need to know about them. So I'm selling wins. So hey, if y'all need some more wins in your life, I'll let you go.
And that's, I love that you say that, because that's also, again, for us as business owners, who we attract is a reflection of who we are. I remember a time when Renegade Creative started in 2015. And it started because business owners in my community had seen what I was doing with the Confetti Collective. At the time was a natural hair brand. I was doing natural hair events and all of that stuff. And it was growing. It was, we were hosting events and packing out convention centers and everything. And the business owners in my community started asking me what I was doing. And I was making YouTube videos and blogging and leveraging social media. And I recognize those consistent conversations, that pattern, as an opportunity to start something else. So that's how this brand was born. But in the beginning, I know, and I can say honestly, I was confused about what it is that I was offering. And because I was confused, the people that came to work with me were confused. Their confusion was attracted to my confusion. So when we came together, it was a whole ball of confusion. And then I was frustrated because they weren't getting the wins that I thought I was helping them to get, but it all stemmed from me. So I had to get clear about what my lane was, and choose to focus on that and make it clear that this is what I do. This is why you need it. This is why you should care. This is how it could help you. And anybody that was outside or didn't want those things that I was offering, I was okay to say no to or to refer out. But yeah, I think that we don't often recognize that, especially for those of us in service. When we sell services, we tend to get really frustrated at the people that are coming to us. But I really think it's an opportunity for us to say, well, what types of messages am I putting out that they're resonating with? And what could I do better? What could I change? How could I streamline my content, my social media? How could I show up in a different way to make me attractive to the types of clients that I want to work with?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That, and like I said, that's another thing that we talked about earlier was, the avatar. And I was talking, my avatar name is Roxy. I have a little cousin named Roxy. But, I was telling her, explaining who Roxy was. I'm like, Roxy ready. Roxy just needs some more people. Roxy is ready to take on the world. So, like I said, y'all going to see a lot more Roxys out here. Oh, but I know I have the ticker going across. I want people, because all of my clients that I'm working with, I'm like, I've told them about you. I'm like, yo, y'all got to get on these clarity calls because you are all of that.
Well, but
And they
I mean,
are all of that. So it's just like, okay, when they all of that come and you're all of that and me being all of that with a bad, I'm like, we finna blow some stuff up in a good way. We
yes,
about to
yeah, especially in this climate, in a good
right.
way, in a good way. But yeah, I mean, I think everything that we do, everything that we will be able to create through our businesses stems from our level of clarity, and that level changes as our business grows up. As our business matures,
Mm-hmm.
we if we want to continue to lead it, we'll have to step in front of it and say, okay, I'm on this level. Like I remember before I was using email marketing. I remember those days. I remember when I wasn't even thinking about emailing my audience at least on a weekly basis to let them know what's going on and to keep in touch. But when I got to that point, I had to give myself a moment and some time to say, okay, so what will be my plan once I make this investment and step into engaging on this deeper level with my audience? What's my plan going to be? How am I going to get more people to sign up for this email list? How often am I going to email them? Like all of those things, I had to walk myself through all of those pieces so that once I got everything in place, I could run with it. And that's for me why clarity is so important. That's why it matters, because if we're not clear, we can always start. We can always start the race, but if we're not clear on where we're going, we'll get around the first bend and be like, so what was going on? Like you lost. You lost. Nobody, I don't want that for any business owner. So yeah, I offer my clarity call is 50 minutes. And it's really a fact-finding mission. And I ask a lot of questions to those business owners about what it is that they're wanting to do. And we start peeling that onion together. And I'm going to tell them, okay, well, this is where I think you are, and this is how I think I could help you. And allow them the freedom to say yes or to choose something else.
Absolutely. I love it. And I know you made a post the other day and that was shared out by a lot of folks. You said y'all looking for clarity and you need confidence.
And I love clarity. I love being clear, but I think especially in the entrepreneur community, we make clarity an idol.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not that we're not clear, it's that we're scared.
Mm-hmm.
So to continue to say, well, I'm just waiting for some confirmation.
Yeah.
Or I got to ask one more person. No, you already know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. You already have your marching orders.
Yeah.
When are you going to forward march and move in that direction? It's not about not being clear. And I said that because I've done it.
Girl, listen.
I have been there. I have said to myself, well, we don't often say it in these words, but what we're really saying is, I just need one more person to validate me.
Mm-hmm.
I just need one more person to tell me this is a good idea. I just need one more person to say, you should do that before you'll move out. And we don't realize that energy, that's not leadership energy.
Right.
that's not inspiring or attracting to the people that we say we want to work with. If we are unsure about our own position in our businesses, then we have to expect that our audiences will also be unsure about our position and how we can help them. So yeah, we use clarity as an excuse to not take action. And after 2020, I don't know how we can still sit back and make excuses. On the Confetti Collective, we posted on Instagram at the beginning of the week, 500,000 people are no longer here because of COVID. Every day that we wake up, absolutely, we have an opportunity to impact lives through the businesses that we are blessed to have. And for me, that's a huge responsibility. And it's also something that excites me a lot. So yeah, I have to show up. I can't keep using clarity as a raggedy as a raggedy excuse.
Right.
I have to move out.
And that's it. And that's you talk about 2020. And that was I was in the I think it was July, and I paid a lot of people a lot of money to tell me the exact thing. Like, yo, you know this. Like, what are you waiting on? Because I was like, oh my God. So, being in the we both were in the military, being in the military, and I would always tell people, they were like, what's your biggest challenge? And I'm like, well, I know how to do it the Air Force way. I know how to do it. I work for a couple of companies. When I get out, I know how to do it the corporate way. I want to know how to make sure that I'm doing it the Shadonna McFall way. So that's where I was still like, oh man, is this right? I'm seeing everybody else doing all of the things. And now fast forward to 2021, and I'm like, man, Mo, the process is the process. I'm like, I'm not buying them another course, them another class, them another nothing, because the process, and I know the process. I've coached and trained and went to all of the conferences, did all of the things and all of the memberships. I'm like, hey, this is what it is. This is we ready to go. Like, I know when my other brand, Mo's Heroes, I'm like, baby, I'm trained to go. I'm ready. Listen, if you ready to go, I'm ready. Because the Air Force done sent the military done sent us off there, give us a government travel card and some orders, and say, good luck, hope you make it back.
That's it. Bye. You gotta
like, here's
make
your
sure you
list.
arrive on time. Like, that's it. We have to. I would love to see more business and brand owners, more entrepreneurs really stop letting fear keep us, stuck in certain spaces. And I get it. I understand not wanting to make a mistake.
Yeah.
But mistakes are blessings. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. And business owners don't often realize that the fear of not making a mistake is actually what is causing them to be stuck. Because since they're not taking action at all out of fear of making a mistake, there is no movement, no momentum. So they're not growing. Their business isn't growing. I mean, and that none of us want that. So yeah, it's literally every day, saying yes to a new adventure, and committing to learning from that and growing through the process.
Absolutely. I know we talked a little bit more about vetting our yeses, because like I know I was in this thing, like I wanted to be helpful to everybody. I wanted to do this. Hey Mo, can you help? And I really could. I had the answers, but I didn't have the time. Or I had the time, but I'm like, is this going to be beneficial to my bank account? Is it going to help me pay these subscriptions that I need? Is it going to help me do the things that help take the business to the next level? Yes, I can do it. Yes, I know how to do it. Yes, you need me. But at the end of the day, is it going to help me do the things to take it to the next level? And now I really have to be okay with saying no. And I know we say that all the time, no is a complete sentence, but I'm still like, man, are they gonna be mad? Are they gonna write a bad review? Are they gonna talk junk? Or I don't care no more. That's one thing. When you say, I said I'm gonna get me some t-shirts and say fear don't live here no more. Then like Brianna say, people gonna talk whether you're doing bad or good.
That's right. I am a firm believer that we have to say no to the right things so we can say yes to the right things.
That's it.
Because we can't do it all. We're human beings. We are limited. We have limited capacity. So we have to be really, we have to hand out those no's more often than we hand out the yeses, because we are giving ourselves the room, to be able to receive the clients that we want and the customers that we want. We want to be able to have the bandwidth and the emotional space and the mental space to be able to serve the people that we are working with in excellence, and not be exhausted and drained from stuff that we said yes to when we know deep down we should have said no.
Absolutely. And like I said, that's one of the things that I am going to be intentional about going forward. Like, yes, I can help you, but it's just not a good fit right now. And I don't like half telling, doing nothing. And I like a lot of times I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna have to tell it, but it's just like I'm gonna give you the best, but at the end of the day, are like you said, you're drained, you're frustrated, and but they good, they gone off and they done rolled into the sunset.
That's right. It makes me think of a story I heard Oprah tell a long time ago. It was about forgiveness, but it made me think about it just from what you said. She said, she had been holding a grudge against somebody for years. And this is when she still had the show. One time she's driving, being driven from her driver to the studio to do the show. And she saw the person walking down Michigan Avenue laughing. And her thought was, how dare you be laughing and enjoying your life when I'm holding this grudge against you? But we have to stop giving people
Yeah.
the power to affect our days after. We have to be able to free ourselves from a lot of those things that we don't realize, I think, how often the things that happen outside of our businesses really negatively affects inside the businesses. We don't realize, I think a lot of business owners think of their business as something that operates outside of them. So this is me and this is my business. It's two separate things. Mm-hmm. We don't realize it's us. The way we show up in here is the way we're going to show up in the business. So if we've got unresolved things, going on in here, that's going to come through in our decision making. That's going to come through in who we choose to partner with. That's going to come through in the procrastination and the delaying things and all of those things that we say we don't want, but we really do. All of those things are going to be a manifestation of the stuff that we have unresolved within ourselves. So we have to, I think for me, that's why it's been so exciting to have the conversation that on the surface is about content and, knowing what to post on social media. But underneath that, it's about worthiness and self-esteem and limiting beliefs and confidence and all of those other things, because all of that stuff affects it. You could give somebody the blueprint to have $1 million business, but if they don't believe it's possible for them, if they don't believe they're worthy of it, they won't even implement it. Yep. And for a long time, I recognized I got frustrated, because I would work with clients, I would host workshops, I'd work with the SBDC, work with SCORE and all these other organizations, and would teach workshops where I left nothing unsaid, and people would sit in the class, not take any notes or anything. And I had to learn how to separate myself from that, and also to recognize that the way people receive it had nothing to do with the value of what I brought, and they are responsible for their own successes. So yeah, it's a lot of internal untangling that has to be done. And we don't often realize that the people with the large followings that we follow, they've done this, and you hear it in their content. Yeah. You hear Tony Robbins and you hear people like Chalene Johnson talk about all of these things that are not business per se, but they've done that inner work. I would love to see more up and coming, aspiring, growing entrepreneurs start to recognize that and start to do that work now, so that when we get to 7 and 8 figure businesses, we'll know how to handle it.
I quoted Chalene the other day because she was like, she's not afraid to disappoint people. That's what I've stuck. She said a lot of things, but when she said, hey, I'll disappoint you, it don't matter to me. I said, you can disappoint people?
No, that is very freeing, because, and that's the thing, Chalene knows, we all know what makes up the lives that we live outside of the businesses that we run. We all know what other obligations, and we have, we got children asking us for stuff, and we have spouses, and we have parents, and we have relatives, and we have all these other things happening. So we know what our priorities are. Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer that I don't have to explain my no or my yes. That's just the answer.
Absolutely.
That doesn't stop people from wanting an explanation. And that's when I get an opportunity to say, well, I don't owe you an explanation. My answer is my answer. And again, just like Chalene, I'm okay because I know what it is that I'm here to do. I know what I have capacity for. And I also know that I'm not going to dishonor myself just to please somebody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a whole inner thing, you know,
It
that
is.
we have to work through, because that definitely manifests in how we run our businesses.
Absolutely. And you said when you had the tissue box, you made me think about the things that aren't business related, but we are our business. So we got to be good from our head to our toe. Like everything, like the physical, all of the things. And I'm like, oh, I need to work out more. And I'm like, you feel so much better when you feel good, because
Yes.
I had this thing like, oh my God, if I look good, I can come and do the things. But I also want to feel good.
Right.
Because when you don't feel good, it don't matter how you look, like, man, this ain't right. This ain't it. So now I am being very intentional about looking good and always feeling good. And like I said, and that sometimes that goes back to, no, I'm not gonna be able, I can do it, like, and I'm doing it with my son. He's like, Mommy, can we do? I'm like, no, like even tonight he wanted to go to some store. I'm like, I'll take you after, but I got a hard 7 o'clock, buddy. That store don't close to 9.
Right.
And so just making sure, and I'm like the whole communication, like, hey, I can do this, but some things are time sensitive, some
Yes.
things are not.
Yes.
So once
Yeah.
we understand time management and priority management and all of the managements, we can manage. At
And,
least
and that gives us the opportunity to show ourselves as leaders. I mean, I
yeah.
think that too. People won't necessarily have to like your decisions, but they do have to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Leaders make decisions based on the priorities of the mission.
Right.
And we have to always be aware of what the priorities of the mission are, so that we can, going back to that word, we can be intentional about the decisions that we make, and how we divide our time. I mean, especially our time.
Mm-hmm.
Our time that's the most precious thing. We can't make more time. So
Right.
we have to be really discerning and discriminating about how we spend it, because we can't get those minutes and hours back.
Absolutely. And I know I was talking to a business coach earlier, I was telling you about, and I was saying, like, yeah, sometimes I have a 15-minute call, but sometimes it go more than 15 minutes. She was like, no, if it's 15 minutes, then it's 15 minutes. I'm like, you're right. You're right.
That's right. That's right. And I think would be willing to bet that there are a lot of people that will watch this replay
mm-hmm.
that have that same thought. And they think it because they're like, well, but I want to help.
Mm-hmm.
But I want, so yeah, I said, the call was 30 minutes, but I'll go 45 or 50 or an hour because I want to help. But we don't realize that desire to help dishonors it. We're dishonoring ourselves and dishonoring our own value. And we're, in the long run, we're not helping that person. We're giving them a false idea of what the experience is like to work with somebody who does what we do. So we're not actually helping them. We're hurting them, and it's being motivated by fear. So we really have to give ourselves, take advantage of every opportunity, to be clear and to communicate. And I love this word. I don't think I've ever said this word. I haven't said this word this much since I was a soldier, but show ourselves to be leaders.
Yeah.
That's who we are. When we say, I'm going to start a business, we don't become, but we step into the role of a leader. But the journey gives us opportunities to grow and become the leader that the people that we hope, we expect, we intend to come and work with us will be able to trust that we can lead them to where it is that they're trying to go. But that process doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen, the minute somebody clicks the buy button on our website. We have to already be that person, so that the person who's looking for leadership will recognize it in us and say, I want to work with them.
Absolutely. And going back to, like I said, the time thing, because I know, in the military, time. And even with this live, I used to try to say, man, it's a 30 minutes, but I would think I was doing a disservice sometimes there by cutting it off, having it hard, because I'm like, it's still more to say. And I know that I was working with a lady from PBS. We was on a call. She was like, at PBS, there is no time, there is no deadline. She was like, when it's done, it's done. So
Wow.
that's how it operates here. So I have this love-hate relationship with time, because like, you want to be a stickler to the time, but it's not over until it's over.
Right.
And that's where I get, like I said, it's like, yes, I said 15 minutes, but if it has to go past 15 minutes for us to get to just like when we run the mile and a half or whatever, like in the military, those tests, you're supposed to be done about this time, but let me finish. They don't think like that.
Give
But
me
at
some
the end of
extra
the
minutes
day,
so I can finish this thing.
yeah, let me finish. As long as it takes us to finish, that's how long it's going to take. As long as we get the desired result. So that's where, like I said, it's another fine line that I'm learning to walk. I don't want to just cut things off and we're not done. That's like baking a cake, and you're not letting it take the whole time. Let it take the whole time that it needs, because even with the recipes, it says yes, should be done by this time, but sometimes we know that it's not.
Yeah. No, I mean with live broadcasts, I love the back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
When I do interviews or do my own broadcasts, I love it to be organic. That's why people tune in,
Yeah.
so you definitely don't want it to feel like it's highly produced, because people tune in for the live energy, that
Mm-hmm.
electric energy of it. So yeah, I definitely get it. And again, a leader is going to recognize in this situation, flexibility is going to be advantageous, but in
Yeah.
this situation, we need a hard right and left limit. So
Right.
yeah, it's again recognizing what field of play you're on and adapting to the environment.
Absolutely. And I love, like I said, I just love everything you say, but it's just like, okay, do I have hard things? Do I have a little bit more time, or do I have to be on to the next? Because if I have to be on to the next, then I will cut it out of respect for another person's time. But if we have some time like tonight, I have time, and
Yeah.
the conversation is so good and it's so needed and it's so necessary. I didn't want to just say, oh man, like I said, the military has, and I said, I made in a post, I blame everything on the military, but I used to get in trouble. The time I had to, man, this time thing, I used to do suspenses and everything had to be boom, boom, boom. Y'all got to give it to me. I'm calling and checking and doing all of the things. And the civilian world, they don't operate like that. So I'm like, I have to, they don't care about they don't care about no deadline. They don't care about no suspense. Not all of them,
As
but
well, in this
some.
climate, again, people really are reacting in interesting ways to the stress,
Yeah.
the global stress that we are all experiencing. It's showing up in interesting ways. I mean, I'm noticing it, people showing up, not being able to manage time as well, being a little bit more forgetful. All of that is happening just because we're in this prolonged stress. I shared in one of my group chats today. I got on a meeting, and the person that was hosting the meeting was like 7 minutes late. And then once they got on, after they got on for another 15 minutes, everybody that was on was literally just talking about everything and nothing. Like, you could tell people just miss being around people. So there oh, well, what's happening here? What is this? Just talking about all kinds of stuff. And I'm thinking, can we get to the meeting? can we can we can we take care of business and then we can do this other stuff? I understand, but it's just the way people are responding differently, and for me, I know that I have to be aware of that. I have to remind myself of that, to extend more grace and to be more patient, because people really are trying to, I mean, it's an everyday just waking up. What's going to happen today? What's going to be the adventure of today? And how am I going to navigate today? So yeah, this whole season that we're in is not normal at all. So you almost have to be prepared for anything.
You do. And I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, this is just so heavy. Everything is heavy. Like, and I don't want to say I don't know if I'm going. Like tonight, I almost ran out the store trying to get home. The lady, I was going to get my change. I'm like, oh Lord, no. She's like, ma'am, do you want your change? I'm like, yeah, I absolutely want my change. But it's just like, we have this thing, and we talked about perfection and all being on time and all of the things that we're ripping and running. But it's just like, you do have to slow down, because if you don't, you will miss something. You will miss something important. So I tell people, some people want it fast. I want it right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're one of those people that the boom, 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 time is great. Time definitely has its place. But sometimes we're rushing and we have to do it twice. I don't have time to do it twice. I got to make sure I'm going to take this extra time to make sure that it's right before I go back. And then that's going to throw me off. And I'm like, nope, not doing that. Not if I don't have to, not on purpose.
Yeah. Or at least as close to right as I could get it for right now. Like
Right.
I have a saying that I used to say, I use a hashtag in a lot of my posts, is baby steps to greatness. And it's, getting it done, using what you have right now to get it done. And you can always go back and refine it. And a lot of that comes from my Lean Six Sigma training, because that's what it's about. When you're building a lean business or a business rooted in Lean Six Sigma, you're not about wasting anything. So you're not going to invest more right now than you necessarily need to. You do what you need to get the job done, and then you learn and iterate and improve it over time. And that, because the perfectionism thing is a whole different well, that a lot of business owners are floating in right now. And again, using that as an excuse not to do the action, or using that as the cover for being afraid of making a mistake.
Absolutely. And I'm so over that. Like I can say, I don't do anything intentionally. I don't make mistakes on purpose. But it's just like, okay, well, dang, we can fix it. And that's one of the things I had to learn, and that I learned in the military. They used to tell me, like, I used to be so scared to do it. They were like, listen, there's nothing, you can't break it. You cannot break this system. Anything you can do, we can go back and fix it. So that's what I'm like, hey guys, we can fix it no matter what it is. Right. Except for like if you put some stuff on the internet, like, okay, it may take some time to get something corrected, but we can put out, even when you and I was working together on like the press release, like, we said we put out one thing and we made the changes and it didn't work. So I'm like, okay, well, we just got to put out another one. Right. I apologized. But we tried to change it. But like I said, once it's out in the universe, it's out in the universe. But it's not the end of the world.
And nothing is perfect anyway. Right. So, even using perfection as the standard is misconstrued. That sets you up for failure out the gate, because nothing is perfect. We're human beings. I know social media does a really good job of trying to make us believe that perfection exists somewhere on this planet, but it doesn't.
Right.
So we're human. We all make mistakes. That keeps us humble. It keeps us grounded. And it helps us to, I believe it helps us to set realistic expectations as well.
And absolutely. And the thing is, we thinking, well, these companies, they have the system, but it's human beings running those systems. So it's just like, be like, man, I paid y'all all this money and y'all got it wrong. And woosah, like, they're still human.
And if they can make the mistake, then certainly those of us, we're not above making a mistake either. And again, it's just choosing to see it as a learning opportunity. Okay, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? How can I, use the wisdom that's going to come from this experience and apply it going forward so that I can be better? And that's it.
That's it. Yeah. And that's all. It's just like, guys, it do the people, and for me, and what I do with the Mo, like, okay, do people know you? Did you get their attention? And did you get their attention well enough to where they want to have, a call with you, or whether they want to come to your webinar, or whether do they know you now? Are they following you? Like I said on Clubhouse, did you say something good enough for them to follow you on all of these social media platforms, for them to want to connect with you? Because like I said, I tell people, can't nobody buy anything from you if they don't know you. They
That's
got
right.
to get to know you first. And then once
Right.
you, like I said, that know, like, and trust, they'll understand that, hey, this is, she's about that life. She's, the character is good. It was just, okay, some words. We can, something that, like, these lives. Oh, you didn't start it. Is that because I'm really strict on myself about actually starting on time, especially when it comes like that. Nobody probably ain't even checking for me like that. But for me, I'm like, I gotta start. I said 7:00. It's gonna start at 7:00. So it
Yeah,
might go
I mean, and
past
that's
the 30, but it's gonna start at 7:00.
just honoring your time. I think we all have those little idiosyncrasies about ourselves that we do. I was just thinking today, being home, everybody's home, everybody's working from home. I've worked from home for years. So the difference, the adjustment for me was, now my husband and my daughter is here too, all day long. So when I would be home by myself, I would be at the kitchen table, in the family room, in the living room, all these other places working. But I really had to set a boundary with myself that I only work from my office, so that we now have the freedom to enjoy the rest of, I mean, we're in the house as it is. I don't want the living room, the dining room table, all these other places to feel like the workspace. It was important that we have someplace else we can go to escape school, and work. We can close the door, be done with it, and relax and enjoy the rest of the house. So yeah, I think this whole pandemic really just gave us, the opportunity, the chance to look at ourselves and examine ourselves and make the adjustments that we need to make.
Absolutely. And I know that was me. I would be at both tables, in the bed. I would be everywhere doing all of the things. And I still love that, because we were making excuse. Oh, I don't have a nice desk. I don't have this. I don't have the office. Do you have a computer? Do you have the internet?
Exactly.
Do you have the phone? So I don't even use that. I'm like, man, I'm working where I'm getting it in wherever I can,
Yeah.
because it has to get done. So that's just what it is. But I know setting those boundaries and having that discipline. We try to do that. That's where I'm at now. Having the discipline to say, okay, this is the time that I'm gonna do this, to this, to this, to this. And I'm getting there. And like I said, and it started, like I said, I'm doing a great job with this show, starting on time. So you talk about those small baby steps.
Baby steps, that's it. And then getting the tools to support us. Like, I recognize after last year that I, beginning of every year, buy a new planner. And I had to recognize and admit that I couldn't run everything only on my phone. The way my brain works, I have to write some things, I have to write down. And just because of what I juggle during the day between the two brands, I recognized I needed to get a different kind of planner. So my paper planner, I definitely put appointments and things on my phone, but I also write things down in my planner. And my planner literally has the hours blocked out for every day. So I can sit down tonight before I leave my office, look at all of the things that I need to do tomorrow, maybe a due out, respond to an email, everything, and I can assign those tasks to a time. So everything gets done. And now when I come in this office in the morning, I'm not thinking, well, what do I have to do again? It's all written down. And it's all down, identified by time. I recorded 3 videos today before we did this live, because I knew, okay, I have to do this. I need to get this done. I got to get this done. And it's defined. So I think, again, we just get those opportunities really to evolve, to become the type of leader who would own, who would steward the type of businesses that we want. So getting the tools, use and honoring those milestones, like you said, you're creating that new discipline with the show. That's a win. And then when you start to think about the next thing, okay, so what else do I need? because that was the conversation that I had. I was standing in Michael's or somewhere with 2 planners in my hand thinking, okay, so this is the kind that I usually get, but I know that I'm having more things to do, so this isn't going to be it. So I chose the one, and my planner is sitting here. Like, I literally write things down by the hour, by what I'm going to get done for the day, and that helps me stay on task. And it, just gives me helps me kind of lean into that next level of discipline and time management.
Absolutely. I love, and I aspire, and that's what I aspire to do. I aspire to have my days timed out to the hour, to the this, to the that. And I do an okay job with it. But for me, when people text me or call me, I'm still jumping through hoops for everything. I'm like, and I used to get in trouble for that in the military. Because when people would come into the office, I would just pop up. And I had a supervisor, couldn't stand her, but she was like, stop it. You was like, you have bad time management. I'm like, no, I don't. But I wanted to serve. Like, if somebody came into the office, I wanted to give them that time, that service, that support, so they can get their jobs done too. So, like I said, that may be, I don't want to say a character flaw, but I'm like, okay, if I give you this time, give you what you need, and you're going to in turn to give me what I need. So that's the mindset that I always had with it. Does it always work? No, but it's just like, okay, like I said, having grace.
Yeah, and seeing it, every opportunity every encounter is an opportunity to grow. Okay, well, what did that situation teach me? Okay, not going to do that again. That's what you have to write those things down. Okay, that's not going to happen again. Let me make note of this, so the next time I do something different.
Okay. I like I said, I thoroughly enjoy every time I speak with you. I'm like, oh, I just love her. I love, but I'm just like, Mo is just like, and I think it's probably because your name is Mo too.
Yes, I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Because Mo loves Mo.
We moles are serious. We are a serious, it's, yeah.
So yes, but please give everybody, like I said, your information so they can connect with you, because I tell everybody I need to talk to Mo. Everybody I talk to, because like I said, we just went into our whole strategy thing. You did the whole content to cash thing for me. Everybody needs that. And I tell people, if I need it, then you need it. And I want to make sure that everybody has access. If I have access to it, then you have access to it. Like you said earlier, what you do with it is what you do with it. So guys, you now have access to Moniek James, www.moniekjames.com is the website. But Mo, please give them the other social media sites where they can catch you.
So I am on all social media platforms as my name. I try to make it real easy. You can search on Facebook, you can search on Instagram, you can search on Twitter, you can search on YouTube. Moniek James. My go-to platform, the one I'm loving right now, I'm really paying attention to and investing in, is Instagram. So I would love for you all to connect with me there. I everything that I do focuses on that idea of really being clear, because when you're clear, when you know exactly who you are, what you do, and who you do it for, then everything that Mo and I have talked about today, it will be easier for us to say no to the right things so that we have capacity to say yes. It'll be easier to show up in confidence. It'll be easier to manage our time. It'll be easier to handle just this day-to-day life of being a business owner when we are clear on what the mission is and the people that we're trying to help win. So I would love to connect with all of you. Come find me on Instagram.
Absolutely. And the thing about with StreamYard and all the other platforms, Restream, Instagram, you have to do, Instagram is specific. You Instagram on all your time, all your attention. So we got to schedule a time. Instagram like, no, you're not, when you show up here, we want all of you.
So I have discovered, so this is for the people on the live, don't y'all tell anybody. So you can use Restream is the one that does it.
I just signed up for that last night.
Restream, you'll need a third party hook, because Instagram doesn't share the API, so that's why the platforms like StreamYard doesn't work with them. But with Restream, you connect a third party tool, and you only have to connect it once, and you can pre-schedule or rerun a pre-recorded video as a live, but it has to be a vertical video.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is vertical or horizontal.
No,
We'll figure that out.
This StreamYard is horizontal. So
Okay.
so if you were to take this, and I'm saying this because I tested it already. So for y'all that are watching, I tested it already. So you record, if you have vertical videos that you have pre-recorded, you can set those up and pre-schedule those as Instagram lives, and they will run just like a live broadcast.
Okay, we got to figure that out, because I know when I signed up for a Restream, I thought about you. I'm like, because I know Mo is the queen.
You know I have
of all of these streams. I said she gonna help me with this. I gotta be in the game. I gotta have the tool, but I know she can help me figure this thing out, because this is what we gonna do.
Yeah, and that one, because that was the last. The Instagram is the last one standing that doesn't allow the pre-recorded stuff, but I figured it out. So I just gave y'all the trick for free. That I just gave it to y'all. It has to be vertical, and it is Restream. I have not encountered another platform that works with Instagram at this point.
And there it is. Like I said, I'm so excited. Like last night, I was going through and setting up all, because you get 30 with the Restream. So girl, let's get off of here, because I want to go and finish setting up my Restreams. Because I'm going to Restream this, because what I know is, like I said, we love doing it live, but I'm like, I want to get this information out to as many people as possible, because at the end of the day, you need the information so you can take the action.
Exactly.
Because nobody can do it for you.
That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Mo, for giving us this hour. I appreciate it. And like I said, we're going to figure out how to make this thing go vertical so we can be on IG and do all the things to make sure everybody's good to go. Because like I said, we're not going to have another 2020. 2021 is going to be everything. Everything.
That's right. That's right. And we have the power to create all of that.
We do.
So I'm ready. Let's do
go. All right, guys. But we will see you next week for another episode of the Mo You Know Live. And y'all take it easy.
Bye.